There are texts on the darkest shelves of human history. Texts that no one dared to read out loud. They carry the word magic not like a fairy tale decoration, but like a warning. Because for most of history, magic was not entertainment. It was knowledge that could not be controlled. And uncontrolled knowledge always creates fear. Today I won't tell you a bright, fantasy story. Today, we will trace the footsteps of communities, traditions, and secret lineages. Groups known across different eras for practicing magic. What did they do? What did they believe? Why were they banned? And why were some books burned simply for existing? This video is not a how-to guide. This is a documentary-style descent into humanity's courage to look into darkness. Because some doors are not opened by technique. They are opened by curiosity. And curiosity is sometimes the most dangerous key. Now let's go back through time. Our first stop is a world where magic was not yet a crime. Ancient Egypt. In Egypt, magic was not hidden. Magic was considered part of the structure of reality itself. They called it Heka. A divine force that held the universe together. And the people who worked with it were the priests of Heka. To them, illness wasn't only a wound in the body. It was a wound in the spirit. So healing was done not only with herbs, but with words. Not paper, papyrus. Not ink, something closer to an oath. Protective charms, symbols carved onto tombs, prayers meant to guide the dead through the afterlife. Egyptian magic carried a dark shadow, because death was never seen as the end. For an Egyptian, death was not finished. Death was a door left slightly open. Even mummification was more than ritual. It was sealing, a way to keep the body from dissolving. So the soul would not scatter. Sometimes a name was written. Sometimes a symbol. And sometimes there was fear that a single mistake, one wrong mark, could invite the wrong presence. Egypt considered magic sacred. But Mesopotamia treated it with caution. Now we travel to Mesopotamia. Where dust traveled on the wind between cities, and kings searched for prophecies in sleepless nights. Here, magic had two faces. One was protective. The other was a curse. There were specialists called the Ashipu. They were like analysts of evil. When sickness came, people believed it might not be only a disease. It might be an affliction. A shadow. A presence. If something felt wrong inside a home, they searched for a reason. A jealous glance. A broken bond. A spoken malediction. The Ashipu managed fear. They described the unseen. Then they pushed it away through recited texts and rituals. Their purpose wasn't to show power. Their purpose was to restore balance. Because Mesopotamians believed the universe was crowded with gods, spirits, omens, and unseen forces. And they feared that if you stared at the wrong place, something might stare back. Then there were the Baru, masters of divination. They read the future. The fate of kings. The outcome of wars. The arrival of famine. They read the sky, and they read sacrifice. This is a darker form of magic. Because knowledge of the future sits on the human soul like a stone. The idea of what will happen either drives a person mad, or turns them cruel. At this point, magic begins to shift. From protection to bargaining with destiny. Now we move into the Greek and Hellenistic world, where magic married philosophy. Here we find the Hermetic traditions. Texts attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, circulating for centuries. Hermetic thought didn't view magic as simply bending the external world. It aimed to transform the internal one. Symbol. Number. Star. The sky became a mirror. Astrology was not entertainment. It was treated as a language of the cosmos. And the darkness in Hermetic thinking is this. It whispers something dangerous: you are small. But you are not alone. And if you learn the language of the universe, you will learn how it controls you. And once a human understands they are being controlled, they begin to want control in return. Now we enter an era that became a bridge between East and West. A time when Arabic texts multiplied, ancient knowledge was translated, and symbols were repackaged for new ages. Some traditions focused on the hidden properties of letters and numbers. What later became known as Havas. The belief that letters are not just letters. They are thresholds. A name is not just a name. A name is a calling. The darkness here is subtle. People begin to link name and being directly. And many European magical concepts would later take shape through this idea. The holiness of symbols, the power of sacred names, writing used as a seal. And then Europe. The most suffocating face of the Middle Ages. In this era, knowledge lived inside a fortress. That fortress was the church. The keys were held by priests. And what is locked away does not disappear. It grows in the dark. Secret circles emerged. Some chased truly heretical things. Others simply wanted to know. But in the Middle Ages, knowledge was dangerous. Because knowledge produces questions. Questions weaken authority. And now we reach the book at the center of this story. The Sworn Book of Honorius. In Latin, Liber Juratus Honorii. This is one of the most controversial grimoires in history. It is attributed to a figure named Honorius. Some claim he was a high-ranking cleric. Some say he was a legend. Some believe the book is a compilation. But what matters is what the text claims. It does not present magic like a performance. It speaks with heavy seriousness. Of contact with angels, of approaching divine knowledge, of hidden names. And above everything, there hangs one word like a blade, an oath. The title, Sworn, is not symbolic. It carries the idea of a price. It feels as if the book tells its reader, if you have come this far, turning back will not be easy. That is the true darkness of such texts. They show you a door. But they also make you feel that what lies beyond the door might be watching you as well. The tradition linked to Honorius reflects what was called high magic in medieval Europe. And high magic differed from folk magic. The village healer worked with herbs. The high magician worked with text, with language, with symbols and structure. And this frightened authority far more. Because text travels. It moves from house to house. One copy becomes 100. And one day, it is read outside the fortress walls. In the same era, we must mention Kabbalistic circles. Kabbalah is fundamentally a mystical interpretive tradition. But throughout history, it was often associated, especially by outsiders, with dangerous symbols and secret knowledge. Letters becoming numbers. Names carrying layered meanings. The idea of seals. These concepts entered European grimoires deeply. And Kabbalah carries its own darkness. A person can enter an endless maze of meaning. Every word becomes another door. Every door becomes another possibility. And eventually, a person can forget which world is real. Now we arrive at another shadow chapter. Folk magic, and the people labeled as witches. Between the 15th and 17th centuries, the word witch became a name for fear. But most of those accused were people of daily life, herbalists, midwives, healers, women who knew what the village needed. The problem was simple. People went to them, instead of going to the church. Even that was seen as a threat. And then fear grew. When fear grows, stories grow. And when stories grow, accusations grow. Night gatherings were described. Hidden pacts were imagined. Statements that sounded like dreams became court records. And thousands of people, often without evidence, were punished for rumor alone. The witch hunts are darker than magic itself. Because here, magic became a weapon. Whether it was real or not. The strongest spell humans cast on each other. Was this slander? Panic? The madness of the crowd? Now let me tell you what all these eras share. Throughout history, magic has been tied not primarily to power, but to uncertainty. Uncertainty is humanity's greatest enemy. When uncertainty grows, people search for explanations. If they can't find one, they search for someone to blame. If they can't find a person, they search for a ritual. And if they find a ritual, they cling to it. This is why magical communities appeared in different forms across time. In Egypt, magic was part of sacred order. In Mesopotamia, it was a defense against unseen affliction. In the Hellenistic world, it was a search for cosmic language and inner transformation. In medieval Europe, it became the forbidden whisper of knowledge. And in the witch hunts, it became an excuse for fear. And books like the Sworn Book of Honorius stand in the center of this dark line. Because they remind us that outside religion and science, there has always been another hunger, the hunger for meaning. And sometimes that hunger does not lead to light. Sometimes it pulls people into shadow. Before we end, I want to leave you with one question. Was magic real? Historically speaking, magic was often not a physical miracle. It was a psychological reality. The effect of symbols on the human mind. Fasting, repetition, darkness, silence, fear, expectation. When these combine, perception changes. And when perception changes, the world feels changed. Maybe that is the strongest side of magic. Not transforming the world, but transforming the human being. And when the human being changes, the world changes too. If you enjoyed this narration, we can go even deeper in the next video. We can focus only on forbidden grimoires and how they spread. Or only on angelic and demonic narratives and how they shaped societies. But remember this, some knowledge is dangerous not because it is true, but because people believe it. And sometimes the most terrifying spell is not a symbol, but an idea.